Good evening, it's Joyful Hermit. I'm sorry I have to do these sort of not too organized or pre planned little visits, talks, but this one's going to be the Hermit's Dog Talk. I haven't had for a while because I've talked about it in the past, but then I realized people log on and they see a current video and they haven't followed up, haven't had the full monty of videos to understand my lifestyle or situations going on in my life, including that of my two dogs, Love and Mercy. And Love, in about 5 days, is going to be 2 years old. I was told that he will really settle down when he's 2 years old. So I'm expecting on April 12th to wake up and have this very calm, lethargic, slow moving, well behaved, calm down dog. Wrong. But anyway, it's a hope. He'll be 2 years old then, 24 months. But his sister, who's very tiny, was from the first litter, and then the 6 months later, the breeder had this other litter. There were either 9 or 11 in Mercy's litter, and I got to choose her a little later on in the process. And at the time, she was in the middle of the group. By the time I got her, she was equal to the smallest. So, and that was okay. It told me she was not aggressive or shoving other dogs out of the way to get to the food. And small is good for me with my fused spine, halfway up and all my pain, and didn't want big dog. I wasn't going to have two dogs, but Mercy was so calm and quiet that she did not wake me up in the morning. A reason that I got the dog was I could no longer use mind over matter that I'd used for years, over 3 decades. In fact, at that point in time, I think it was, well, 35 and a half years. No, even longer than that, 37 and a half years that I had used mind over matter to get myself up every morning and push the body. And including years that I didn't have any pain meds. So I knew that my pain was at a level that I could not make. I would be in bed until 3 in the afternoon often. It was just too much pain overloading me. And I had pain meds even here with the pain doctor. I finally had a pain doctor and had this, what my disability was, diagnosed, and that it was this progressive, it's this arachnoiditis, which is horrific pain, and it progresses and other problems happen, like paralyzed intestines and paralyzed bladder and paralyzed from the waist down. So that's why it's imperative I keep going, keep getting up and getting up a lot, and as much as I can. And so I realized we'll get a dog. A dog will force me up. I'll have to get up. I have to feed it. I'll have to take it out frequently, back in, train it, all of that. Take it for walks when I was able. And of course, that was before my knee replacement that failed. But, and there's a dog park close by, and before I lost my thyroid functioning and didn't know it, but was wiped out for that year, then had blackouts. I still took them to the dog park, but then came the knee replacement surgery that failed, and my kidney failure, and I didn't realize I had these blood issues and anemia. So, and I do have this latent blood issue that will be checked every year. to see if it goes into something that's more serious. But even if it does, it's not going to be a ticket to heaven for me. It will take a while, years it could take. So, and I would likely die of something else first. But anyway, so that's the situation of why I got a dog to begin with. And then with the one dog, and I'd had dogs before, and I'd had a couple of dogs that I had to part with. One in particular, they got so attached to me because I'm just, as a hermit, I'm the only one there, and I'm there all the time. Except when I got the one dog, my son, I think he was a junior in high school, and then had to get rid of him the fall of his senior year. And it was hard on him. His name was Gilbert, named after Gilbert G.K. Chesterton, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, the great convert and writer of Catholic books and things. And he converted as an adult to Catholicism. So Gilbert had to go because he got so attached to me that if I would dare leave, even for 10 minutes, or to try to go across the street to Mass. Well, no, that was when I couldn't go to Mass there. I had to go to the convent. But I'd have to take him with me because he would got destructive. I could no longer get him in a crate. He would have diarrhea, and then he just got so strong and he would fight. He would fight me. I couldn't force him in. And then he would mess it up. He would just have poop everywhere, rolling it all over the sides. He did not want to be separated from me. When I was reading a book one night in the bed and he was up beside me, he got upset that I was reading the book and he peed right on the mattress full force because he was angry that I was reading, that I wasn't playing with him, giving him total attention. So he went to a farm with, I think there were 3 other dogs that he could run around with, because I was concerned about him because I knew he was attached to me. So I realized, I thought, well, I'll try it again with this nice dog, little dog, and that I could manage and make her go into the crate trainer. She'd sleep in the crate, but then with this arachnoiditis, she was very compliant and did not force me up in the morning. That was one problem. But that's mercy. But the other situation is when I would get ill with the arachnoiditis, when I get ill, I get very, very ill. Sinus infection, I can be really bedridden sick for 8 to 10 weeks. So, and then it's hard to take her out to go to the bathroom because I would be so ill. I would do it, but it was very hard. And she got depressed and would just be there on the floor in her little dog bed, staring at me and wanting to play. And I would be laid out in bed very sick because arachnoiditis, your immune system is lowered and it's neurological. And when I get sick, I get very, very sick. So someone said to me, we'll get a second dog. Then when you're ill or your back is bad, they can play with each other and exercise each other in the house and in the room. And they won't be so lonely. You'll be able to rest and recover and they'll have each other. So I found out that the breeder was having another litter of pups. Same parents. And 6 months later, so I got Mercy's brother. There were only 2 in his litter. I didn't realize how big he was going to be until the breeder brought him to the door at 7.5 weeks. It'll be 2 years this Memorial Day. And he brought his little boy with him. And it was very awkward because I said, look how big he looks. He looks as big at 7 weeks as Mercy was at 11 weeks. Oh, no, no, don't worry, don't worry. No, he's not going to be more than 25 pounds. Got the same parents, don't worry. But look how big his paws are. Oh, a boy dog's paws are always bigger. Just trust me, trust me. Well, I kept him. By the end of the first week, I thought, this dog is going to be big. But I had a niece then who was encouraging me, and she still does, but she texted, oh, don't get rid of him, Call. Don't get rid of him. Don't give him away. Don't. I was going to have to sell him. I just don't have, I didn't have money to be just parting with a little puppy, brand new. But Mercy liked him, and he was adorable and so loving and got trained real fast. And I thought, well, maybe he'd be 35 pounds. That wouldn't be so terrible. Or 30 to 35. Mercy's 18, little over 18 pounds. Well, no. Lovey kept getting bigger and bigger, but he got me up. They have 2 crates beside each other. I'm saying it's maybe 3.5 feet from the bed. Just right here they are in their little nighty-night crates and where they take their naps. Otherwise, they're up on the bed, or they have their own dog beds on the floor, toys, bones. Mercy has a pile of bones out in the kitchen on a rug out there she likes to be on when I'm fixing their meals. And she has some toys out there, and she has this little piggy that she likes to squeak. And I say she's making music, and she squeaks all the more. The stuffed piggy that she squeaks and runs around with. And Lovey has toys that he likes. And so they're all doing great, but Lovey wakes us up. He wakes us up, and it's fine then when he's making all these noises and moaning and whining. And he started maybe 3 or 4 months ago just violently shaking his crate when he really wants attention, or he wants out, time to get up. So we get up. I get up, even if I'm feeling horrible. I get up and we take them out. They know the routine. Lovey and Mercy, they'll come back, or Lovey will stand at the doorway to the kitchen and, yes, I'm coming back to get your bowls. They eat back here because I eat back here. We all eat together. I eat laying down. And take their bowls out, and I soak their food in hot water, and then usually in the evening, add pumpkin, because that helps them with their movements. And then, or otherwise, like tonight I had an omelet, and I use egg whites plus 1 yolk. Well, they get the extra yolks then, because they're spoiled, and that's good for their coats. Then I heat the water to really, really hot in the microwave and soak their food, because Lovey gobbles his food. And my pain doctor, he'd been a medical anesthesiologist and a medical doctor for years before he went into pain doctor. Got this other specialization. And he said, well, he's eating all these other things. He thought he had pica, but he's outgrown that. But he would just gobble. He says, well, he's not getting nutrition. So that's why he wants to eat other things. Tennis balls, and he even ate part of a tube when he was a puppy, part of a tube of the strongest construction adhesive. I thought he was chewing on this new toy I'd gotten him. Sounded rubbery until he hit the metal end. Well, he'd started in the middle and worked down, but I had to call the poison control for animals. It cost me $95 just to call them. But the vets wouldn't see him unless I had called to find out what to do about that particular kind of poison. And as it turned out, I didn't have to go to the vet. But they did say it was amazing that he ate so much of it. He ate 3 or 4 ounces And they said they had 3 other cases in the country, and those dogs had eaten like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of it when their owners called in worrying. But by the time he hit metal and I heard it clanking on his big teeth, I realized that I was laying here. He was down on the floor at the foot of the bed. I realized, oh, that's not his toy. So, what dog would eat? That's what the people, she says, excuse me for laughing because I know you were worried and this is terrible, but you know, and upset and worried for him. But you know, the most any of these other 3 dogs had was like a teaspoon because it tastes so terrible. So that's Lovey. He's a character. He isn't needing fine taste, but he doesn't do that anymore. Maybe, and I got a slow eating bowl, and my pain doctor said, you know, soak his food first so that it's, you know, soft and he'll get more nutrition out of it. So that's what we do, and then we wait for it to soak, and they like to go out before I start their breakfast, and then they like to go out midway through. If I throw a few dry pieces on the ground that they like to gobble up, and then that gets them in the mood to go out and poo-poo. Then we come back in and their breakfast is ready. And if I'm fortunate, I've had time to get myself a bowl of oatmeal or something. But if not, I wait and get mine later because they are very spoiled. But they're into their routine, and I like to stick with the routine. And I realize I don't have a fenced yard, but the Petco trainer said it's okay. Just keep them on a leash and do what's called tethering. And they'll learn just to follow you on the leash. And they have tiny little thin leashes, very narrow ones. But they hold them, you know, when we go out. But they've always had them and they just stay on them. And that way, if I need to, I can step on their leash to stop them. Because it's easier for me that way. I can't easily just boom bend down with my fused spine. And now with my bad knee, I can't crouch. So they're service dogs. Number one, that's why I got them, was to get me up and to make me keep having to get up throughout the day. And because as a hermit, I didn't really need the company. And I prayed a lot about it because it's technically not solitude. I have living creatures in here. Besides, there was a mouse here last fall. He's gone, or she's gone, whichever. And there have been ants and occasional wasps, and I think maybe I've only had a couple of flies in here since I've lived here. But I have these 2 living creatures. And while they don't talk, but they do interact. And Lovey is like a toddler. And he's increasingly become rather demanding. So, and most of you have heard him. Last fall, people would leave comments. Some were quite upset because he caterwauls. It's a word that means, like moaning and making mournful sounds like a cat whining and crying and moaning, and or an animal in distress. He sounds so pathetic and so mournful. And of course, he's easily heard on the microphone here, especially because he's only like 4 feet or less, maybe 40 inches away from me, 42 inches. He's just right there. And Mercy's right beside him in her crate. They always take their naps in a crate. Afternoon nap, or sometimes if they seem tired or they're in here standing by the door to their crate, or at the pantry door saying, you know, indicating to me, get the treat. They get a treat, a duck jerky from Costco 1, before they go in for their naps because they don't eat at noontime. So they'll let me know, and if they're ready sooner, like at 11:30, but usually by 12:30 at the latest, they're ready for their naps. Even if they've been up on the bed with me prior, if I'm not having a good day physically myself. And they'll be up here snoozing. But dogs, if you look it up, dogs sleep a great deal, more than what you'd think. So they want their naps. There's a towel that flops. I flop it down over the front of their crate. If that's not flopped down, they let me know. You forgot that. They want that. It's sort of a security thing. And I think being in their crates, the handyman thought it was terrible that they were ever in a crate. And they're in their crate during the night, too. I have read it gives them security, that they prefer having their own bed, their own place, and then for me, it's good because I have to get up so often in the night. Then they're not up and they're not, wanting to stay up then, or getting underfoot. I have to be careful not to fall. Obviously, with my spine and as bad as my neck is, it wouldn't take much, and I would have to have that serious neck surgery. That would be the end of my ability to drive or to move my head at all. So that's a little bit about them, but good grief, it's a neighbor woman, a different one it's another story. But anyway, Lovey loves people, and so does Mercy. But Lovey, really, he's very rambunctious and getting increasingly seemingly needy for more attention. So, for example, when he's been on the bed and I've tried to do a video with them not in their crate, he'll come over and paw. He'll paw. If I'm trying to write an email, and I don't write many, I have 2 people I need to respond to. It's been a week since I responded, but and I did my taxes finally and write comments back to you guys, because the spiritual draws me far more than writing about the weather or something to a longtime friend who is not at all interested in the spiritual, doesn't believe, and sends me every couple of weeks now sort of a report of her life, which I appreciate and enjoy. And then I write back and try to keep at her level. I used to try to write more spiritually, and she let me know that she knows nothing of it. It means nothing to her, and that I was wasting, even trying to describe anything spiritual of my own life or insights. I never proselytize people. It wasn't that. It just wasn't in her bailiwick. So I try to mirror back. So it's an effort, probably why I don't readily write back. It's more of an effort to write of temporal things. I don't have much temporal, other than then I get to talking about people, which is not good. It's gossip or something. So, and judging, or it's stories that are sort of humorous, but the person probably wouldn't find them funny. Human nature, human syncrasy stories. So anyway, at night, sometimes it's happened that he will wake up, that Lovey will. I don't want to say his name too much because he could wake up and respond. But then he'll hear me talking. And I think he wonders, is someone here? Because they go crazy if someone comes. Absolutely excited with glee. rushed to the door, and Lovey, I'm still working on him not jumping up on people. He used to put his arms around a hug. He saw someone hugging, I think at Home Depot, and he literally would do that with people. And at Home Depot, a lot of the customers loved it. Oh, let him, we love it. Oh, what a sweet dog, he gives us hugs. He would put his arms around their waists because he has a very long body. He got very big. He's over 50 pounds, maybe 56, 58 pounds at least, maybe 60. Not 35, not 25 that I was told. And he's got a very long neck and long head. He's got a retriever body, the vet said. He got a recessive gene. So he's the size of a retriever, but a goldendoodle, mostly poodle. But his body shape, and he's very strong and thick-chested and just adorable, loving. He's now doing this little endearing thing with people and with me at the dog parks where we see people when it's good weather. And hasn't been for the last 3 days, so they haven't been, or 4 days, I think. Too muddy and rainy, and we even had snow. But so he comes up and he'll like put his head into your knee or your leg and just roll his neck down in his head and try to look so coy just to get you to lean down and pet him. He sort of rubs. It's sort of like how a horse will do with someone with their head. So he's got his ways, but he has started now. If I get a rare phone call, this older neighbor woman called, and I was trying to talk with her. She's hard of hearing. She has a hearing aid, but it's not a very good one. She's got money. She's into external austerities, as we were talking about. She's into more of the externals, and is very pleased that she hasn't purchased anything outside of a thrift shop since 1979. No clothing, no other things. She shops thrift shops, and that's to her a sign of austerity and of holiness, I think, or a mark of doing something good, something that is esteemed, important or something. So, fine. But her family finally, I think, talked her into getting decent hearing aids. But she didn't get really good ones. She still can't hear very well, which happened today. She doesn't realize, that she walks in this house, doesn't wait for me to come to the door. Today I couldn't. I was up on a 6-foot ladder, carefully edging the ceiling, or up at the edge of the wall to the ceiling. I was finally painting the bathroom walls their first coat after I primed them. And there's one coat of ceiling paint on. So I was doing that, and I couldn't get down to get to the door. Thankfully, the dogs were taking their naps in their crates, because Lovey would have climbed on her. She's a very tiny 85-and-a-half-year-old woman, and he wants to kiss her. He's a very loving dog, and she would have been probably knocked backwards through the front door and hit backwards on the porch, the concrete porch. So anyway, that's Lovey, and I'm work on training him off, get down. When I had the phone call, he didn't like that because he thought, who am I talking with? He's like a toddler or a young child. Didn't want me on the phone. And so he started doing something to my leg that's inappropriate for a dog to do. Well, Mercy is a female. Mercy does it to him. It's a thing of control, they say. I've been told that. He's only started doing it in the last couple of weeks. If I get a phone call, so he's done it twice. I've had 2 phone calls in the last 2 weeks. One from my daughter, which was unusual call, and one from this elderly neighbor woman, more elderly than me. In other words, I'm elderly too, but she's 12 and a half years older. And very tiny to begin with, and she must be maybe 4'7", maybe 4'6". Very tiny woman because she shrunk some. Maybe weighs 90 pounds. Well, he's close to 60. And if he stands up on her, which I don't allow, but if they hadn't been in their crates, they would have been there at the door. You don't stop painting when you're partway in. And of course, it was the facing wall that you walk in on when you enter that bathroom. It's the master bath. I need it to look good for the future owner. And because it's white paint on white primer, so it's hard to see where I would stop. You don't want a line. So when I heard her come in, why she comes in, I don't know. I think she is very humble, very thinking she doesn't want to bother me, that maybe I'm not well and I'm in bed or something. But instead of just going home and texting me or texting or calling first, are you there? Are you available? But no. So this is the second time she's come, fourth time she's just walked in. And she tried, I have a Ring doorbell. It doesn't ring, but my phone will make a noise. So my phone made this noise, but I couldn't do anything about it. I was up there painting and doing the trim out and had to roll. It's going to then roll. You want to roll immediately. You don't want lines to form or to not be able to see where you left off when you're painting. Now I figured who it was. Who else walks in my house? And who comes to my house anyway? Even the next door neighbor lady who knows me very well and took care of me through my recovery of my knee replacement. And I paid her, but she was going to do it for nothing, but that wasn't right because it was a lot of work she did several times a day. And brought me food and different things, shopped and got my medicines and changed the ice pump 3 or 4 times a day, fresh ice. So anyway, so I called out to her loudly, I'm back here, come back to the bedroom. The bathroom's there, I'm painting. I'm up on a ladder. Come on back. Well, she couldn't hear. I could hear her calling, are you here? Are you here? And I would call back. But maybe she didn't have her hearing aids in or turned up, or she could not hear. Thanks be to God, these dogs were in their crates, because on occasion I've let them be out. But not with intricate painting. I couldn't, because if they got into something, then I didn't want to have to stop and deal with it and let the paint be drying or something. So anyway, turns out she would have been, he would have, both of them would have rushed to the door, barking, carrying on, excited. He would have stood up to try to lick her face, kiss her, because they get so excited when the other neighbor woman comes. I just stand there with their leashes and do the off command with him and pull him down. And Mercy's so tiny, it isn't bad if she does get up, but I don't let her either, because Lovey sees how tiny she is. He thinks he's tiny, That's his only perspective, is he's her size. And that's how he is when he's up on the bed. He wants to come over and he wants to put his head right in here. And he's so big, he just takes up the space. And so he doesn't like it if I'm on the phone now. He's becoming really a recalcitrant dog. And I have to command him off. And I think I'm going to have to try the shock collar, because he's becoming very possessive and very needy, too much so, of attention for himself. And so, anyway, they would have knocked her down. Lovey would have knocked her down. She would have fallen backwards and hit the back of her head or her neck on the concrete porch. As she entered the front door, he would have rushed. And then, of course, they would have just run out into the street, running around all over, because they're used to being on their leashes with me. I let them loose now and again, but then with the HOA people, as they are, living right down the street and eyes on me all the time, we're to have our dogs leashed at all times. Well, other people don't, but their dogs are older and follow along beside, or they're better trained, frankly. Even though mine have been I took them to the Petco training thing, but that was just basics. But we go to the dog park where they run and run and run, but it's fenced. And then they get to see other people. They get to play with other dogs. They just love it. And we do that usually early evening, that the weather's decent. So the long and short of all of this is that Lovey also then will make these pathetic, that's caterwauling. And if you would wake up right now and recognize I was talking, he would either think someone else is here and he wants out to see, or he wants to control. So he makes these mournful, distressing noises, as if he has to go to the bathroom, or he's hungry, or you could probably imagine maybe his paw is caught, or something terrible is happening to him. Or if you don't even realize he's in his crate, you think that he's being abused. He just sounds pathetic and desperate. In fact, the person today leaving a comment says your dog is obviously in desperate need of help and attention. No, he's not. He does this. He's spoiled. He, not any more spoiled than Mercy, but he's a very verbal dog. He does the talking for both of them. And he is, every now and then Mercy will talk. If he's getting attention, she'll make these sounds like she's trying to speak. It's not a bark and it's not whiny, but it's very obviously her way of speaking, of a conversation. Look at me, pay attention to me. But, and now with the phone, he's misbehaving, and he doesn't get away with it. Not when I'm on the phone. Those 2 times he didn't. And he's not with the videos. He just isn't. So I'm doing this video explaining Lovey, his history, his, we'll say, a psychological makeup of the dog, his personality, he's very bright and obviously very clever. And as I've said, if I'm trying to type an email, he'll take his paw and try to grab my hands off the keyboard, or he'll plop right on the keyboard so that I lose the whole thing. In fact, I was trying to do a video once with them on the bed and around me so that he could see There's no one here. I'm just talking. Get used to it, Lovey. But no, he wanted attention. He wanted me maybe to talk to him, I suppose. They get nonstop me. They're always here. I'm here. They love to go on truck rides. So when I go on my rare errands, which are becoming increasingly rare because I'm really about done with even needing anything from Home Depot. When I go to physical therapy, 45 minutes, they have little seat belts. Well, Mercy doesn't have to stay in hers when we're parked. He does, because he gets into things. He gets into the front seat. He'll chew things he shouldn't. He's chewed my Medicare card and my Mutual of Omaha card. It had slid down under my console, and he got it. And that was even being seat belted. So he's a character. He's a handful. He's disciplined. He knows to sit when he gets his little liver pill in the morning. It's just a little liver bite that Costco sells. That they have that routine after breakfast. They go to the pantry door and they keep pestering me until I come and give them that in the mornings after their breakfast and after they've been out. And they're doing their job. In the morning, we go out once before I start their breakfast, once during their breakfast. They go out first and pee, go out while I'm in the process of fixing it, after they've had a few little treats dry that they get on the floor. And then they go out and do their poo. Then we come back in and they get their breakfast. And then they go out 2 or 3 more times within the next couple of hours. And it's excellent for me. It forces me out and up and going. And it's all right. It's good. And then before nap, they go out again outside. I take them for walks when I'm able, which is most of the time, especially when the weather's better, and if my knee is not excruciating. But we generally can get a walk in around the block, and they like that. But if he sees someone or sees a duck, then he can bolt. He can bolt. And he nearly pulled me down the other day on the side yard. I was just pushing my heels against the grass. It was wet, though. And last summer, he bolted when he saw some children because he's a child himself. And he bolted and I fell into the street. Maybe I was 6 weeks along with my knee. It didn't hurt my knee. I mean, it hurt, but, and I fell on the side of my operated knee, but no damage. And I had a grip of myself as I was falling. I laid myself down, and a neighbor was right there, and another woman, and they went and got the dogs because they ran off to see the children that they wanted to see. So he's coming along. Mercy especially is. Lovey has a way to go with his training, but they're very well cared for. They are loved. They are not neglected by any means, not abused. When he makes those noises, there is nothing at all wrong with him. He doesn't have to go potty. He doesn't have to go poo-poo. He's not hungry. He just wants to control. He wants the attention. He wants me to stop what I'm doing because he wants out, wants to see what's going on, Who am I talking to? What am I doing? Or if it is toward the end of their nap time, he might wake up and hear me talking and then carry on, make his noises, his mournful noises, act like he's practically dying in there. And at times when the video's nearly over, I'll tell him to shush or to stop it, or it won't be long, just wait, and he'll quiet down. He goes all night without having to go out. He can go for his 2-hour nap or 2.5, or even a 3-hour nap. Or even if last spring when I was running out of time before the knee replacement and I had to work 6 hours, they manage 6 hours. People who work crate their dogs from 7:30 in the morning until they get back at 5:30 at night. Dogs are very adaptable. Anyway, this is the situation, so that when people leave any more comments about how horrible it was, they couldn't listen anymore to the video, had to turn it off because your dog was in such distress, and or whatever. Other people earlier on last fall were, as if I was abusing the dogs. I'll just refer people to this particular video. It will be the Hermit's Dogs video, and then that will reassure everyone that I'm not an animal abuser, and that the dogs are very loved, very well taken care of, probably too taken care of. And it's part of what happens with service dogs. They do become very attached to their person. And these are technically my service dogs. The doctor has written that this is the purpose that I have them. I get tax write-offs, thank heavens, because they do cost. I had to board them last summer during my knee replacement for it was like 6.5 weeks. It was very expensive. So that's the situation with Lovey and with Mercy, and it's always Lovey's voice that's making the racket and the shaking of the crate. I don't know why he does the shaking, other than it's annoying, and he knows it is. And it brings more reaction from me. But I'm trying to learn to ignore that also, except to tell him to stop. I'll say, stop it, Lovey, or no shaking. So that's the scene. And the next video, I want to be on John of the Cross, please. Something else. But this seemed important to get this taken care of, and hopefully sort of answered why myself, a hermit, would have a dog, have 2 dogs even. They play with each other. They exercise each other. They keep one another entertained, and they love each other. And when it does get to the point where I cannot handle them physically myself, then I'm going to find homes for them together, because they're just wonderful dogs. And Lovey is too. I'm being sort of tongue-in-cheek a bit. He is, has quite a personality. And Mercy does too. Mercy's the boss lady. She's the alpha dog. And she tries to get on him. If he's misbehaving, she'll get on him and hump him, even though she's female. And Lovey's neutered, of course. They're both neutered. But people at the dog park who know about dogs more say that is a means of being in control. That they will do that. They want to. That's their control mechanism with another dog. And in my case, if someone happens to call now, Lovey tries to pull that with me. And you understand, I cannot let him behave like this. So if it keeps up, people at the dog park say, you just have to do the shock part of the shock collar one time. That's it. And he won't do these things again. All you have to do then is hold up the little the little remote, and they'll obey. So I'm probably going to have to do the shock sometime. I think I'm going to do it at the dog park if he tries to stand up on someone. But bless his heart, see, he's trying. And he is learning. He is trying. At times I'll just say his name and he'll look over at me and get right down. So he knows. He's a smart dog. And he also, when he gets something, like he'll stand up at a counter and grab a paper towel if it's near the edge, just like a half a paper towel. I get the kinds that you can tear in half. And he'll start chewing on it. And I'll say, bring it. You're not to have that. And he'll come right over with it, happy even, because he knows I'll take it out of his mouth. And he loves any kind of touch. The name, I wondered about the name, because for a boy, a lot of people say, oh, is that a girl then? No, but I already had Mercy. And what are you going to name another dog when you have one named Mercy? There's really only one option: love and mercy. So it's even, Brian Wilson used it for the title of that beautiful song he wrote, the Beach Boy, Brian Wilson. So it couldn't have been a more perfect name for him, because he is so loving, so loving. And he is very orally oriented dog, not only verbally, but saliva and eating. When he gets a ball, when I throw the ball at the dog park and they're all running for it, and or if he gets someone else's ball and they want it, it's just soaking, because he's an exuberant dog. He loves everything, even the construction adhesive. And it didn't even, he was a little slowed down. He was maybe 4 months or 5 months old then. 4 months, I think, is all. When was that? September. 5 months. And the tennis balls, he should have died 3 or 4 times. So I do have to watch that. And that's probably, I'll take the shock collar there. If he gets a tennis ball and won't drop it, I'll warn him. And then I'll have to do the shock part. It's just hard for me to do it. That's why I haven't. That's why he's not better trained, probably. The neighbor's Goldendoodle, well, it's their sons, but they have Lily quite a bit. She'll go out and run around, and they just do the buzzer part of their remote, and the dog will immediately come, because she doesn't want to get the shock part, because they've shocked her. Or the son, who's the owner of the dog, has a family and all, and I think that the mother, the son's wife, isn't real keen or something. So the grandparents, the granddogma and granddogpa, have Lily for weeks at a time. But anyway, I'm going to close on this ridiculous topic, but it's important. I think it explains why a hermit would have dogs, not just one, but 2. And this is the first time I've been successful as a single person with a dog because of having 2. Because one gets sick attached to the one person they're around all the time. And maybe some hermits could get it to work, but with me, they know I'm a soft touch, maybe, or something. I don't know. Or vulnerable. But that Gilbert, I couldn't afford him. He took siding off the edge of the house and didn't ruin the mattress, but it was pretty disgusting. So I just can't let Lovey get that bad, and he shouldn't, but you can't have a dog control the situation. But trust me, everyone, he's doing just fine. And it's his ploy. It's warfare. It's dog hermit warfare when he's doing that. Just trying to see if he can control the situation and stop what I'm doing, which he's not going to get away with. I had 3 kids, and I went through toddler, junior high, and high school, and even adult phases with them. And you've got to hold firm. May not like you, but I will say for my kids, they're all extremely successful. And not religion. They didn't like my religious aspects, but the one I think is still with God. But you know, I guess we think it's better to have discipline and consequences and firmness and high expectations of those who are capable of doing well. And I expect Lovey to be able to be in his crate while I do a video without carrying on. And if he does, I ignore it. I'm not going to give him the time of day. Not that he would know. Dogs really have no sense of time, I've read. No sense of time at all. But also as a hermit, they have taught me so much, spiritually even. And they also are a type of external austerity and of sacrifice. Now the other day when I was too ill, that came on me so fast, that abdominal attack, that I could not take them out. But most of the time I can drag my body out with them and back in, because they're used to the routine, and they're used to being on their leashes, and they have the timing. They know what they're doing when. I didn't teach them. They just developed their own routine, and they like it. And I will say, I'm not a very routine person, but it's been good for me. So, God bless His real presence in us, and that includes God bless the animals and all the creatures that He created. Have a good evening, and let's everyone don't worry about Lovey. He's okay. He's alive and well, and ruling the household here, ruling the hermitage.